What I'll say is first and foremost, we need to be able to have the bilateral ceasefire to be able to end this, be able to make sure that we get the agreement, which is something that we're going to press every side on, and I say this as someone who's worked in diplomacy. Let's make sure that we get the agreement, that get the hostages out, get the violence to an end, and be able to push forward in that broader way to be able to get that permanent, durable peace that we all want. When it comes to what the U.S. role will be, yes, look, I think that we should have the same consistent approach across all of our partners around the world. That means that we don't give any exemptions. And when it comes to any kind of aid that is being provided, we need to know, well, how is it going to be used? What is it going to be going forward that's going to be able to make sure that we understand that this is not going to be something that's done that's going to cause human rights abuses or other problems of that nature? So right now, well, look, my focus is on getting the diplomatic agreement. Thank you. So she was asking about the ceasefire resolution, talking about how Bonnie Watson-Coleman signed on. You know, the approach that I take is actually, when I've talked to Bonnie Watson-Coleman and talked to Donald Payne, two people who've engaged on this, I have the same approach to them in terms of what they're pushing for is the bilateral ceasefire, which is...
They're pushing for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, and the only people I am voting for the House or for the Senate are people who have signed on to Representative Bush's ceasefire resolution. There's been a lot of double talk with bilateral ceasefire. That is not what we are talking about. What we are talking about is an immediate and permanent ceasefire. And that is what many people, many registered Democrats, many Jews like myself are voting for.
Okay. Well, look, I appreciate your perspective on this. I will say that Bonnie Watson-Coleman and Donald Payne support a bilateral ceasefire. I talked to them. They've said that publicly. As someone who's worked in diplomacy, I've actually negotiated, been part of efforts to negotiate ceasefires in the past. And that is what they are. They are a negotiated effort. Now, that being said, we want to get that immediately. You know, and I think that there is something on the table right now in Cairo that if we can get the parties to agree to today, it can end this conflict. And so, you know, the hope is that we can have that diplomatic surge to be able to push for. I mean, you know, I talked to the White House about this, saying how important it is. So, look, I understand the differences in how we talk about this and how we engage, but I believe that we have the same goal in mind, which is we want to bring this violence to a close because it has been so devastating to so much, but we also want to make sure it's done in a way that they can have that long term. As you said, you want it permanent. You cannot have it permanent unless we can find the kind of agreement and the long-term solution to be able to have that instilled. And that's something that I want to see, because otherwise we just have these cycles and cycles of violence. As we saw, there was the 2021 ceasefire that was negotiated in Egypt between Hamas and Israel. But then, of course, we saw that break down just in a matter of 2 years. So, you know, we're hoping that we can have something that's going to be more durable, something that will be long-term, and something that will be able to have people be able to stop this violence right away. So thank you for that perspective.
Will you sign on then to Representative Bush's ceasefire resolution and commit to ending all military aid?
Look, I will follow back up on this. As I tried to engage with them about is, again, if they're engaging on this and talking about it in the resolution as a bilateral ceasefire, recognizing what goes into that, that's a different story. But right now, you know, that's something I'll continue to have discussions with Cori Bush and others about. So again, thank you for your question. Appreciate it.